Dell Technologies is back, and they're back with a vengeance, stronger than ever. I used to work at this company, and I remember very well back when I was there was a worry from the market about the entire model of on-premise data centers. People spoke about the cloud revolution. This was before COVID. You can see share price back then. Slightly after COVID, I switched to working at Google. But back then, there was a lot of talk about cloud and people switching over to that, moving their workloads. Eventually, we started seeing repatriation as IT professionals realized that, alright, perhaps not everything should be in the cloud. And already when I was working there, we were talking about the multi-cloud approach, having your own on-premise data center to cover a certain need of IT that's more predictable, and then run some less predictable workloads where it does not make sense to have your own infrastructure in cloud or perhaps co-locations. And it's a massive sprawling IT infrastructure that we see out there. And right now, with all of the AI workloads, we see all the agentic parts, there's just more and more need for this IT infrastructure, and it makes more sense to have your own hardware in this case, especially this data center hardware with PowerEdge servers that Dell sell, and they have the mid-range storage as well, and they're just a one-stop shop for everything. Well, it makes more sense to purchase more, and this is higher quality revenue for Dell Technologies. The computer side of the business used to have extremely tough competition, razor thin margins. You have all of this competition in the laptop and computer space that once was booming, back in the day when the personal computer was novel. Well, now the better margins are in the data center, and Dell is definitely in a very strong position there, especially in high-end storage, in the higher-end products. They already had a very strong lead on high-end storage with, for example, Power Max was the name of that product. And we could see, for example, HPE scramble to try to get into that space as well, doing some acquisitions like 3PAR was their old one, and they did some acquisitions to try to get more into that space. But that high-end focus is what's needed in the AI era. You need very, very strong hardware to run the workloads, so to say. Back when I started, we were talking about having flash disk for some workload and how the price of flash was declining, and then there was just this tiny push for a very expensive disk type structure called NVMe, so non-volatile memory express, and likely they're selling even more of that as well now, not only copious amounts of flash but also NVMe and higher end PowerEdge servers for different locations as well. And that's one of the strengths that Dell has. They're a one-stop shop for technology. They can step into a negotiation and offer a complete solution, give some discounts if you buy everything from Dell, and it's a very, very powerful message, and they're able to sweep up larger amounts of market share as a result in a market that's growing rapidly right now. I mean, just take a look at some of the revenue numbers here from the latest quarter. So this is in thousands of dollars. This is just crazy, like this is 33 billion in revenue for this company. It's very strong. 273 billion in market cap. What a journey they have made just for that quarter. And gross profit is strong. Margins are good. It's just a good business to be in right now. The data center hardware business. It's a very, very good business to be in, especially for this high performance workloads where you need a lot of IOPS. You need lots and lots of them, and it's gonna be expensive, and companies are buying. They need to train their own AI agents. They're using a lot of tokens, and they could even have some extra power on laptops to help run these agents in the future. So the market as a whole is increasing, the market size. We're seeing the cost of tokens going up. It's subsidized now, but what if you could have your agents run locally on your computer as well, and use that compute research, that compute power to do tasks, to do research? Well, then even the need for laptops is going up, and investor sentiment is very, very bullish around Dell right now, and revenue has certainly re-accelerated. We also saw a 10 billion contract from the Department of Defense contributing to this increase in share price, and I'm very happy about it. I spoke to a friend of mine who still works at Dell, and he was absolutely crushing it in terms of sales, so I'm very happy for him. And demand certainly is there, as we can see from share price. What a journey it has been for this company. What a comeback. Wow. Yeah, it's a testament to the leadership ability of Michael Dell, I would say. He's navigated through a lot of hardships in the past, and a strong person to have at the helmet of the company as we enter this AI era here. So will growth continue? Very likely, in my opinion. I think that we're gonna see more buying, and then not only just tech refreshes, as we say, when the gear gets old, because you need to replace your hardware. Usually people do it after 5 years, but also expansion as they take on more projects. Well, all of a sudden you need more IT, and who's there to sell it, to package all of the components together in a server and put some software on top? Well, it's Dell Technologies in this case. So just wanted to highlight this stock, highlight this comeback, and make some comments around where I see the business going. I would also comment some of the bearish cases. I would say that we see some constraints in terms of delivery, with delivery being harder and harder, and I've seen Dell lose some deals in other markets where they were not able to deliver, and it's the same for all IT vendors. Basically, it's taking longer and longer to make delivery. I have friends at other companies that are also selling, primary storage and servers. There's just a few of them out there. You have the NetApps, you have the Hitachis, you have the HPE, Evergreen used to be called Pure. There's a handful of companies out there that you can take a look at, but there's some problem with delivery for everybody in the market right now, with lead time taking longer and longer. So you could, get a purchase order from a company, but then you can't really realize the revenue in the income statement until you actually made the delivery. And well, if you can't make delivery, then the customers might start to look elsewhere, look at, for example, some of the co-locations, could buy some capacity from Nebius, could buy some capacity from public cloud. Everybody is going to get a lot of business basically, but that capacity constraint, that lack of inventory, is something that potentially could hurt revenue growth going forward. So that's some comments here on Dell technology after an absolutely home run of an earning, up 32% on the day. And as you can see, stock price from the graph has performed extremely well here as of late. Right, that's been it for this video covering Dell Technologies. And as always, hope you guys make a ton of money, whatever investments you decide to make. Take care now. Bye bye.